What's up, everybody? Andrew Lewin here, founder of SpeakUpForBlue.com, and this is Speak Up for Blue TV Ocean News Update. But before we get into the ocean news, I want to make sure that you guys subscribe to this channel because there's going to be more updates every week. So without further ado, let's dive in. Our first story today deals with politics. Yep, that's right, politics. Because these days, politics are playing a huge role in the way that oceans are managed. Scott Pruitt, who's head of the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, came out and said some pretty not so thoughtful things about climate change. Check this out.
To get to the nitty-gritty, do you believe that it's been proven that CO2 is the primary control knob for climate? Do you believe that?
No, I think that measuring with precision human activity on the climate is something very challenging to do, and there's tremendous disagreement about the degree of impact. So no, I would not agree that it's a primary contributor to the global warming that we see.
So the thing that bothers me about this clip is that he is the head of the Environmental Protection Agency. This is an agency for years, it's for decades, that have been protecting U.S. citizens' water, air, and soil. They have the Clean Water Act, they have the Clean Air Act, they have a lot of acts that ensure that you have everything is clean, everything is consumable, and then, pollution doesn't get out of hand. What frustrates me about this clip is this guy has some of the best scientists, not only in the United States, but arguably in the world, that are there to study climate change. They're there to tell him and to advise him on what effects climate change has on the U.S. economy, on health, on national security, on just everything that around us and that can affect us. And he chooses to ignore these scientists for political beliefs. You have to remember, this is the same Scott Pruitt who from Oklahoma sued the EPA a number of times for overreaching. What do you mean by overreaching? It made things slower for fossil fuel companies to actually do business. Why did it make it slower? Because they were going to affect the environment. When you affect the environment, your business is going to get slowed down because there are checks and balances that you have to make sure you don't go over to ensure that the environment of the U.S. is going to stay intact. And Scott Pruitt still decides to ignore it. Because why? He does not care about the environment. He is the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, but does not care about the environment. This administration is all about jobs. And right now, it thinks that the only jobs that are available are in the fossil fuel industry. So as a scientist, as a conservationist myself, this frustrates the hell out of me. And it should frustrate you as well. When you choose to ignore scientists, people who have been studying this all their lives, not trying to do a conspiracy, these are actual scientists doing the scientific method, and you choose to ignore them for political gain, that is not right. So my question to you is, do you think a politician, someone who is head of the Environmental Protection Agency, do you think they should be allowed to talk like this without conferring with their scientists, without having the advice or reports of the scientists? Do you think the scientists' reports on climate change should be made public no matter what? Put your thoughts in the comment below. Because after all, this is a conversation, and that's why we're here at Speak Up for Blue, is to start a conversation. And with politics especially, this is not a fact of whether you're Republican or a Democrat. This is a fact of, do you want to protect the ocean, do you want to protect the environment, or do you want to protect the politics or the supporters of politicians who put them into place? That's my 2 cents. I want to hear yours in the comments below. Now, let's move on to something a little more positive. These next couple of stories are just stories that I like to see around the ocean. We're going to go through them quickly in what I liked about the ocean this week. This segment of the episode is brought to you by our new t-shirt from the Speak Up for Blue swag shop. It is called I'm a Dope Marine Biologist and I Do Dope Things, after our friend Kanye West, who is famous for saying a similar line. But anyway, you can get that at the Speak Up for Blue swag shop in the link in the description below. Our first story in what I like this week is a baby whale shark got cut free from a gill net in the waters off the coast of India. What I love about this story is the fact that the Indian government actually has a program to support and reimburse Indian fishermen who actually have to cut their gill net to let whale sharks out of their net. Pretty cool program, saves a baby whale shark, and we have one more monstrous fish that is in our ocean, which is awesome. The next story is a pretty cool thing, that is something that has been growing in the past 10 years or so. There's a shark tourism guide that was created by a coalition of nonprofit organizations, charitable organizations that are specializing in shark tourism, basically telling you how to be in the water with sharks, be in the water with rays, not to touch them, not to really feed them too much, but there's guidelines on that. And I think it'll be a lot better for the industry and a lot better for the animals, the sharks and rays. And the last story takes us to the Florida Keys, where there was a derby for not just any type of fish, but the invasive lionfish, who are invasive in the South Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. This derby took place in the Florida Keys. 400, like I said, 420 individuals were taken out, including a monstrous 18-inch lionfish. This is great news because we need to get more and more of these invasive species out of the water. They're good in the South Pacific. You want to see them there. In the South Atlantic, you don't want to see them there. So good on this fish derby to take out those fish. Hopefully people got some good meals out of it. And in our WTF moment of the week, which I hope we don't do this every week because this is a crazy kind of story, but in Thailand there was a green sea turtle that had 11 pounds of pennies taken out of its abdomen after it had eaten all these pennies in a wishing well. In Thailand, apparently, it is, as in many places, it is good luck to throw a penny in a wishing well. However, there was, in this wishing well, I guess there was a green sea turtle. The sea turtle ate those pennies and now had to have surgery and is in recovery. Hopefully it will survive, but 11 pounds of pennies, people, that's insane. And our final story for today, we're going to talk about something that was kind of surprising to me that happened, but the Vancouver Park Authority in Vancouver, Canada, voted against having the display and import of cetaceans, so any kind of whales, in public aquariums or in captivity. This means that the Vancouver Aquarium will eventually have to relinquish the 3 cetaceans that they have on display. This vote was actually a response to protests of 2 beluga whales at the Vancouver Aquarium who died in November 2016. These protesters had a voice at the table of this Vancouver Park Authority vote. Some of the advocates saying that they understand that the Vancouver Aquarium doesn't mean any harm to these animals, that they understand that a lot of the people who take care of these animals actually care about these animals. However, they question the ethics of the Vancouver Aquarium in keeping the display on. Now, this is the first time that I've heard of a ban of display on cetaceans in Canada. So this is almost the first of its kind. And which is interesting because there's also another park called Marineland, which is much more like SeaWorld. The animals take part in a show. There are orcas, there are beluga whales, there are bottlenose dolphins. They even have bears on display as well, like a zoo. Marineland has its own set of problems with protesters protesting the fact that these animals shouldn't be on display, very much like a SeaWorld type protest. It should be noted that the Vancouver Aquarium is not in the business of putting on shows for cetaceans, for orcas, for beluga whales, for any kind of dolphin that you hear about. They also have a marine mammal rescue program, which is responsible for managing a lot of sick or stranded animals along the Vancouver coast or the British Columbia coast. So yes, I understand that having a ban on the display and importation of future cetaceans, I think it's really good. I don't think cetaceans should be in captivity, maybe even pinnipeds like sea lions or seals. So I actually think this is a good ban. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen to the remaining 3 cetaceans. There's a false killer whale, a white-sided dolphin, and a harbor porpoise, but that remains to be seen. I believe the vote calls for a ban by May 2018, so something's going to have to be done with these 3 cetaceans. So I'd love to hear your opinion on this story, as well as any of the stories that I covered. You can leave any comments you want in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them. Thank you very much for listening. This is Speak Up for Blue TV Ocean News Update. Don't forget to subscribe because I'll be putting up more ocean news updates every week for as long as I can. And until next time, I'm Andrew Lewin. Happy conservation.